The boy had an unparalleled gift for music. The very first time he touched a guitar, he could already play beautiful melodies. A piece of sheet music he casually wrote in class was chosen by a top orchestra as the grand finale of their concert. But the boy had only one request.
Because I need to play it to a lot of people. Lots and lots.
The adults all assumed it was out of vanity, but in truth the boy just wanted to stand on the brightest stage, so his biological parents could see him. The boy's mother, Lila, was originally a brilliant cellist. The first time she ever fell in love, she fell for a street singer named Louis. They fell in love at first sight, and spent one night together, but their love was not supported by her family. When Lila's father found out, he stopped her, and forbade them from seeing each other. Later, Lila discovered she was pregnant. She had planned to secretly have the baby, using the fait accompli to force her father to accept it. But a few months later, her growing belly still gave her away to her father. After a huge argument, she ran out in tears, only to be struck by a terrible car accident. As she was wheeled into surgery, dazed under the lights, Lila vaguely remembered that there was still a little life inside her that she had to protect. But when she woke up, her father told her the baby didn't survive. Lila believed that lie, and resolved never to see Louis again. But she had no idea that her child was lying quietly in the nursery at that very moment, accompanied by the melody of a music box, his tiny hand waving gently in the air, as if conducting invisible notes. And so Evan was born, but was sent to an orphanage by Lila's father. Losing her child, Lila never recovered. She fell into deep pain and darkness. She abandoned the glittering stage, and became a private music teacher instead, burying all her artistic talent and dreams deep in her heart. Perhaps only by being around children could she slowly heal the wounds inside. And around the same time, Louis, with his unique voice, not only formed a band but became its lead singer. Every subtle turn in his singing was filled with longing for Lila. Though he had accepted from the bottom of his heart that they were apart, he still hadn't expected the yearning to hurt this much. One day, Lila's father suddenly received a critical illness notice. He revealed a truth he had hidden for 10 years to Lila.
Baby, he could have hurt you. I wasn't gonna let that happen, Lila.
Where is he?
Lila was stunned by the sudden news. She couldn't rest for a moment, and began frantically searching for her child. She went to the relevant authorities for help, but when she showed them the agreements her father had signed to send her child to the orphanage, the unknowing staff felt she was not a fit mother. Why, after giving up her child, did she now want to find him? They brushed her off, citing the end of their workday and internal regulations. Meanwhile, Louis had also been searching for Lila all along, but none of them knew that the child forgotten by fate was also looking for them. At the orphanage, many well-off families wanted to adopt Evan, but he turned them all down. The other children at the orphanage thought he was a freak, because ever since he was 2.5, he could hear sounds that others couldn't. The notes hidden in the wind, in the air, even in the sunlight. Evan could catch them all and let those beautiful melodies echo in his mind. But his peers isolated him for it and mocked him. Yet Evan always believed this was a special gift from his parents. If he could string those notes together and compose beautiful pieces, then his parents, whom he had never met, would surely come find him after hearing them. With that thought in mind, Evan made up his mind to leave the orphanage. So under the cover of night, he set out on a journey to the big city to find his parents. On the other side, Lila waited every day at the office entrance to see the director. Finally, one day, she encountered the head of the orphanage.
Why now? Why not before? Why is it so important that you want him now?
I've always wanted him. I've waited 11 years, 2 months, and 15 days to find out that he's alive.
From Lila's eyes, the director could see a mother's longing for her child, so he began to help Lila look up the child's records. And just then, Lila's attention was drawn to a missing person poster on the wall, as if fate were guiding her to step closer. When she saw those innocent eyes, her heart skipped a beat. At that moment, the director also found Evan's photo. Lila said with absolute certainty that this was her child. It was proof of that unspoken bond between mother and son. But unfortunately, Evan had run away from the orphanary a few days earlier, and at that very moment, Evan was walking alone along a city street. He was suddenly captivated by a wind chime nearby. The various noises and clamor of the street turned into beautiful notes in his mind, becoming the foundation of his composition. Standing in the middle of the square, he waved his hands freely to the rhythm, weaving those chaotic sounds into a magnificent rhapsody. Music gave him a joy and passion he had never felt before. But just then, his gaze was drawn to a boy singing on the roadside. Watching the boy casually strumming his guitar and singing pleasant melodies, Evan couldn't resist reaching out to touch it.
Back off! Wait! I'm saying you got some of my equilibrium. Nobody touches this instrument but me. Rox is my girl.
Then the boy, Arthur, packed up and went home. But to his surprise, Evan had been following him.
What?
I don't have a place to stay.
Do I look like a real estate tycoon to you?
Evan had no choice but to pull out the change a fruit shop owner had given him earlier. Arthur then took Evan to an abandoned music venue, a hangout for street performing kids, and their home. Though the place was run down and shabby, beautiful music echoed all around. Every child had their own instrument they excelled at. They were managed by a local thug named Wallace, who collected their tips every day. Anyone who didn't meet his quota was severely punished. But after Wallace turned off the lights, Evan wasn't the least bit affected by the gloomy surroundings. Curious, he ran up to the attic, and there, right before his eyes, surprise was the guitar he had been longing for. The moment his fingers touched the strings, the rhythm of the music struck his heart directly. Evan, picking up a guitar for the first time, played an exceptionally beautiful piece. That enchanting melody instantly filled the entire hall. Everyone was drawn in by his extraordinary playing. Wallace praised Evan as a musical prodigy, the likes of which he hadn't seen in years, so he taught Evan everything he knew, saying that music enriches people's emotions. It can bring joy, and it can also soothe sorrow and loneliness. Only those who resonate with the notes can truly harness its power. Wallace only taught him some basic playing techniques. Evan, however, learned guitar at lightning speed, far surpassing all the other kids. The first time Wallace took him to perform in the square, he instantly won acclaim from the passers-by. That day, Evan earned more in tips than all the others combined, which thrilled Wallace to no end. He felt that a future musical genius deserved a striking name, so he promptly christened Evan August. Wallace believed that this name would one day become a superstar, which also meant Evan would bring him endless wealth. But Evan didn't care about fame or money at all. He only hoped that through those notes, he could find the parents he had only ever dreamed of. At the same time, Lila decided to return to the stage. She felt that expanding her reach was her only hope of finding her child, but fate always loved to toy with people. After Evan went missing, the director filed a police report. Soon after, the police found the place where Evan was staying. By then, Wallace had come to see Evan as his cash cow. He couldn't hand him over to the police at any cost, so he lied to Evan, saying the police would take him back to the orphanage, and warned him never to reveal his real name to strangers again. Evan believed Wallace's lie. He fled frantically through the streets, and managed to evade the police's pursuit. As he passed by a church, he was deeply drawn by the singing inside. Every lyric felt like it was describing Evan himself. A little girl noticed Evan. Learning that he was homeless, kindly took him in. The next morning, Evan was awakened by the beautiful sound of a piano. The girl was playing, and the music flowed from her fingertips like running water, instantly igniting Evan's musical passion. The warm-hearted girl taught him the basic scales, and then left for school. Evan listened to the sounds outside the window, and began composing his own piece. When the little girl returned, she was stunned by what she saw. He had only learned the scales that morning, and now the whole room was filled with his music. Such talent left the girl speechless. When she called over the priest, Evan was skillfully playing his own composition. The priest was convinced that an angel had descended, and felt it was his duty to help the boy showcase his gift. So he sent Evan to the most prestigious music academy in the area. The educational resources there were top-notch. Within just a month, while other college students were still learning from textbooks, Evan had already composed a highly complex rhapsody. Even the principal gave him the highest praise. He immediately called Evan into the office, and earnestly invited him to perform his rhapsody at the concert. He asked if Evan needed anything, but Evan only asked how many people would be able to see the performance.
100?
But thousands.
Okay.
After that, Evan threw himself fully into preparations, and because of what Wallace had said earlier, Evan had never told anyone his real name. When the concert posters went up, perhaps fate finally stopped its cold march, because on the poster, alongside August, the name Lila was prominently printed. Evan was not only exceptionally talented in music, but also a natural leader. He quickly brought the orchestra together, even teaching everyone his own accessible understanding of music. But just 2 days before the concert, as Evan was immersed in his musical world, Wallace suddenly appeared and dragged him back to reality. Wallace falsely claimed to be Evan's father, and tried to take him away. Though Evan was deeply unwilling, Wallace knew his real name, and used it to pressure him. Evan was terrified of being sent back to the orphanage, of losing his freedom and his music. That fear shattered his dream in an instant. The next day, he was back to busking in the park. As a few coins clattered down, Evan and Lewis happened to cross paths. At that moment, neither knew who the other was. They talked at length about music, then traded guitars and played together. The passionate, fiery tune reflected the unbridled spirit in both their hearts. Those harmonious, intuitive notes also gave Evan a deeper appreciation of music. But for now, Evan felt bound by invisible chains, unable to break free or change his situation.
I have my own concert tonight, but I can't go.
Why's that?
It's kind of a long story.
Well, if I went to Juilliard and I had a concert tonight, I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah.
Just then, Wallace shouted from a distance. He wasn't about to let his cash cow be taken away. Seeing the situation, Lewis had no choice but to hastily say goodbye to Evan. That evening, the concert began on time. Lila made a grand appearance as the special guest. Though she had been away from the stage for 10 years, her musical legend still shone brightly in the hearts of the audience. The cheers from the crowd surged like waves, and the atmosphere was electric. The longing that had crossed time flowed gently through Lila's cello, floating over the square. The audience was immersed in a sea of music, and Evan felt the emotion deeply as well. So he mustered the courage to defy Wallace, determined to escape the place that had trapped him. Before Wallace could react, Evan was already running for his life. But he was small and skinny, no match for Wallace's pursuit. Soon, he was cornered. At that critical moment, Arthur appeared and knocked Wallace to the ground with a fierce blow. As the concert drew to a close, thunderous applause surrounded Lila. She gazed into the distance with deep emotion, a silent call to her son. But regrettably, Evan still hadn't shown up by the end of the performance. The principal was about to apologize to the audience, when suddenly, a little girl ran over and shouted,
He's here.
Oh, excellent.
The stage lights fell on Evan, who stood alone in the center of the stage. As the beat began, he skillfully raised his baton. To everyone's surprise, his musical style shifted like changing scenery, at times fierce as a storm, like 1,000 galloping horses, and at others gentle as a babbling brook, like fine autumn rain. This moving melody not only deeply touched the audience, but even Lila, who was just about to leave nearby, found herself stopping in her tracks. On the other side, Louis had just finished his own performance when he was drawn to a poster on the roadside. It actually bore the names August and Lila. An inexplicable force surged into his mind. He abruptly got out of his car and dashed frantically toward the concert venue. As he pushed through the crowd, a familiar figure seemed to pull at his soul. Lila, the one he had missed day and night, was right there before him. That familiar silhouette seemed to turn back time, bringing him to the sweet memories of the past. He walked slowly toward Lila and gently took her hand. That love, long stranded by the passage of time, finally reunited at this moment. On stage, Evan also felt his parents' presence. He turned around, and his gaze met his mother's and father's. 10 years of longing were finally answered in that instant. A smile spread across Evan's face, a smile of joy and relief. 10 years of waiting had finally come to a perfect close. Evan used his innate musical gift to turn longing into a symphony, waiting for a reunion on the brightest stage. They had been separated by time and lies, but always guided by the same melody. Love is never drowned out by distance, and longing will always echo back. The cares hidden in those notes, the hopes buried deep in the heart, the bond running through the blood, they will always cross the crowds to bring the lost back together.